In this video I'm talking about the M.Zuiko 40-150mm f2.8 Pro zoom lens. Hi there, I'm Peter Ferngren, a professional photographer and an Olympus visionary from Helsinki, Finland. And before we start talking about the 40-150mm f2.8 Pro zoom lens, please consider to subscribe to my channel. My channel is all about Olympus gear and you getting to be a better photographer. And remember, I post 2 videos a week. But let's start talk about this lens now. When this lens was introduced in 2014 in Photokina, that was the moment that I was convinced that I will switch to Olympus. And the reason was that at the time 70-200mm lens was one of the most used lenses, and this one is pretty close to that. It's actually a bit better reach than the 70-200, but we'll get into that later in this video. And the next Monday I came back from Photokina. I took all my DSLR gear and lenses and all the stuff that I had to a local camera store here in Helsinki and switched to Olympus. The first Olympus that I got was the EM1. And that's why this lens is very important to me. I don't use this lens that much that I used to, but it's still a very important lens for me. And the disclaimer, this lens is mine and Olympus did not ask me to do this video. And they don't even pay me for doing this. I just wanted to do this because this is an interesting lens. And when I was writing the script for this video, I actually was quite surprised at how many different things that I have used this lens for. I have used it for city birds, seminars, details in the city, editorials, cityscapes, concerts. And if you have a lens with similar focal length, have you used it a lot? And what have you been photographing with this kind of lens? It doesn't matter if it's an M.Zuiko lens or something that is similar to this. Please let me know in the comments down below. The viewers might also want to know, to get inspired on what different subjects you could use this lens. And let's talk about the specs a bit. The focal length is from 40mm to 150mm, which is a 80-300mm in full frame terms. The angle of view is from 30 degrees to 8.2 degrees. The widest aperture is f2.8. And it's always a bit confusing when you talk about the aperture and its equivalent to full frame. The 2.8 means that the exposure is exactly the same. It doesn't matter what kind of a sensor or what size sensor do you have in your camera. The exposure will be 2.8 if the lens has a 2.8 aperture. But when the sensor gets smaller, the equivalent of depth of field will be a bit different. So with the micro four thirds, when you have a 2.8 lens, the depth of field equivalent is f5.6. So that's the short and simple explanation what the aperture equivalence means when you're comparing different sensor sizes. But let's continue with the specs. The length is 160mm and the lens weighs 880 grams. The diameter is 79mm and the filter thread is 72mm. It's weather sealed, splash proof and freeze proof. It comes with the lens hood, but the mechanism is a bit tricky. It is kind of smart, but it breaks pretty easily. So this is my second lens hood on this one, and I've had it for almost 5 years, this lens. But the way it works, you just have to turn this and then turn it back. But it's in a way it's a good thing because it's always with you. But be careful when using it. Don't be too or use too much strength when you do it. The 300mm f4 lens has a similar mechanism on its lens hood, but it has been made a little bit different, so it has a more durable mechanism. The zooming is internal and the front element doesn't change or move when you zoom, which is very good. If you have a polarizer here, you won't have to adjust it again when you use the zoom, and I think that's very good. As you can see, the size remains the same when I'm zooming. And the lens also has a tripod collar to get it more balanced when using it on a tripod. And it also has a MF clutch for easy manual focusing. Coolest gig that I used this lens for was a photo shoot when I was making images of the Red Arrows team when they were getting ready for the big air show in Helsinki, Finland in the summer of 2017. And I was in Helsinki, Vantaa, where the airport of Helsinki, where they were preparing, and this was a perfect lens for that photo shoot because I don't want to bother the mechanics and the crew when they're preparing their well, I think they were hawks for the show, so I could be a distance, but still I would be able to get a nice close-ups of the action with this lens. And with the 40mm I could get a wider shot, so I used this lens only on that gig. And here are some images from that gig. I hope you enjoy them. Hope you enjoyed the images, and have you ever been shooting in the air show or something like that? Because I wasn't. The only thing that I saw of the air show was the Red Arrows prepare for the show, and that was my choice because I had the option to choose, and I wanted to do that because those images are in a way unique because I was the only one who had access to that place on that day. But the only formation that I could get was when they were coming back from the show, and that was quite remarkable to see. The M.Zuiko 40-150mm is also compatible with the extenders MC14 and the new MC20. The MC14 makes the 40-150mm lens a 56-210mm, and it has the same angle of view as a 112-420mm in full frame terms. The MC20 doubles the focal length. And remember, the extender also affects the aperture. And if you're planning on getting this lens, be sure to get it with the extender as a bundle, because then you can get the extender a lot cheaper. Which one should you get? The MC14 or MC20? Well, that depends on your needs. They both have their advantages. This lens does not have an image stabilizer. It doesn't really matter because the Olympus cameras have a very, very effective IBIS in the body. But if Olympus ever decides to make a new version, the Mark II version of this lens, which I hope they do, then they should add the image stabilizer, because when you have very long focal lengths like 150, which is equivalent to 300mm, the IBIS is not that effective. For longer focal lengths, to be honest, a stabilizer in the lens is a bit more effective. And Olympus already have some lenses that have optical image stabilizer, the 300mm f4, and then there is the 12-100mm f4 lens. They both have stabilizer, and the reason is because of the focal length. The closest focusing distance is 70 centimeters, so you can get pretty close with this lens. I have a friend that makes really cool mugs. You might have seen them on my videos. He wanted me to make some images of the mugs with some squirrels. And what I did, I went to a place called Seurasaari, which I'm gonna tell you a bit more right now. It's the fun fact from Finland time. Seurasaari is an outdoor museum with lots of really old rural buildings that are brought here from different parts of Finland. There is also a church that was transferred from a place called Caruna. The church was built in 1685. Why this church is very interesting to me is that my ancestor was a priest in the church in the 1690s when this church was in Caruna. And here are some of the images that I took for him in Seurasaari. I hope you enjoy the images. all in all, very nice lens to use, and I really like this lens. And what about the price of this lens? As I said, if you get it with the extender, get it as a bundle, because the lens only is about 1,300 and the lens bundle is about 1,500, and that's euros and dollars, US dollars I mean. And I didn't find any bundles with the MC20, so far you can only get it as a bundle with MC14, but I'm sure that there will be a bundle with the MC20. But I really want to show you some more images. Enjoy! But hey, thanks for watching and bye for now.